Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Review. Today we're taking a look at the Lovins Customs Strix number 5. It's a completely handmade knife that I thought would be really cool to check out. So today, I'm going to show you if it's worth the buy. Without further ado everyone, let's get into this episode of Balisong Review. So, as I said in the intro, this knife is completely handmade. Hand sanded, hand milled, hand done bushings, everything is handmade. And that's actually really cool. Now, I'm not just going to say this because I have the knife here, but I really appreciate how well done this knife is despite it being handmade. I mean, there are some spots where you can notice that this is a handmade knife, but as far as finish and quality goes, this is top notch for handmade stuff. Also, the scales, even though they're hard titanium, feel really soft, which is really interesting to me. Along with the knife itself, we get some goodies, that being a case that's really nicely stitched in this really cool looking blue stitching, and a certificate of authenticity which also doubles as a rules of engagement card. This card is made out of aluminum and laser engraved really fast. I mean, I appreciate it because of how fast it's laser engraved. I just think it's really cool and nice to go along with the knife. Let's move on to some specifications of the Strix. First off, we have a Tonto bayonet-inspired blade with a rounded spine. This blade is made out of 154 cm blade steel with a Zen pin system. It runs on bushings and washers that are pretty darn good for some of the Strixes that I've seen. I've seen a few of them with some tap and play, but he is just starting out with these bushings, and he's definitely getting better as we see here. I think these are some of the best bushings I've seen on the Strix so far. The handles are grade 5 titanium, and it also has a floating latchless spacer design. This is pretty simple to explain. It's just some washers in between the spacers to separate it from the handles itself so that they look floating. They're not actually floating, they're still touching the handles with the pins going through them. Another thing to note about this knife is that it weighs 5.4 ounces, which is the same as a hybrid replicant. The performance of the Strix is very interesting to describe because I think this knife is actually pretty nice, but it's also just not really for me. The reason I'm saying this is because it's a heavy knife. 5.4 ounces is heavy, especially for a titanium knife, and at certain points like rollovers and fanning, it can be a bit sluggish. But other things like chaplains, giraffes, and scissors, it does pretty well. It's also pretty satisfying to hit some things, which is odd because it's on Zen pins. I don't normally prefer Zen pins, but these are some of the better Zen pins I've seen this year, despite it being actual screw-in Zen pins. I don't really like screw-in Zen pins, as I said before. I think hidden Zen pins are the best kind of Zen pins. No one will change my mind on that. But it's very odd because I didn't realize I didn't have to tune out any unnecessary noise because this knife in general is just really quiet, which is interesting to me. But as I said before, this knife really isn't for me in that aspect because I like a knife that I can just go at the same pace for a lot of my moves, and this knife doesn't quite do that. Now, it is a custom knife, so you can get some less weight in the handles by getting it rounded, or you probably can ask for a different choice of spacer maybe in the future. As far as that goes, I definitely say get more rounded style handles to take more weight off the handles itself. The design I think is really nice, and I can definitely appreciate it being handmade and just an interesting original design that looks really good. And the reason I can relate to this is because the last few months I have been making my own design myself. Not to promote it or anything, but this is just a wooden knife that I've been making on a laser engraver for the past few months, and I thought it was a fun thing to do in the meantime. So I can definitely appreciate the original fun handmade designs. It's really nice because I did put a lot of handmade effort into my wooden knife. One more thing I wanted to mention to you guys is the squareness of the handles. To some people it might feel a bit square, especially if you didn't like the thickness or the squareness of Jerry Hom knives, which is one of the ways he describes the squareness of the handles. I think it's very similar to that of the tie bass, so if you don't like the thickness or the squareness of the tie bass, definitely go for the rounded option. He gave me that option, but I didn't really know for sure if I was going to like the rounded option, whether it be too round or not round enough. So I just wanted to try it without the rounding option to see if it was okay. and it is okay. I like it. So if you don't like it, there's an option for you out there to round the handles. My final thoughts on the Strix are pretty simple. I think the knife is good. It's good for $500, especially since you can change a lot of things about the knife. The handles, you can do handle finish, handle anodizing, blade finish like acid washing or stone washing. You can change a lot of things like that. The handle bias isn't necessarily for me, but if you enjoy that, it could be for you. I think the bushings are really good, especially for the ones that I've seen in the past. He's definitely improving on that part, and I definitely can't wait to see what designs he comes up with in the future. For now, I think this knife is good for $500. Really excited to see what he does in the future. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Feel free to go check out Lovins Customs Instagram in the description down below. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you all next time.